What's the biggest consequence for a lifestyle brand that fails to connect with its target audience authentically?
I mean, ultimately, they won't sell their product. They won't be successful online, um,
Yeah.
which is the worst case scenario. But in general, it's like, people are trying, you're trying to build communities. Those communities are valuable for so many things, obviously purchasing. But outside of that, you can create real focus groups. You can learn a lot. You can create real brand partnerships, even influencer relationships, but really like ones that feel true to the brand instead of just dollars.
Welcome to Delegation Dialogues, the podcast where we dive into the world of business operations and explore the strategies that help companies thrive. Join your host, Regine Regencia, as she interviews business owners and professionals who share their insights on effective delegation, leadership, and growth. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of Delegation Dialogues, where we dive deep into the art of effective delegation, strategic growth, and finding the balance between work and life. I'm your host, Regine Regencia, and today we're thrilled to be joined by a true risk taker and out of the box thinker, Lisa Harst. Lisa is the CEO of the Lifestyle Studio, a social strategy and content agency that transforms products and services into aspirational brands. Lisa is a master of developing innovative strategies that don't just sell products, they create lasting consumer brand relationships. Her approach is all about giving people something they truly want rather than trying to force an ad upon them. Beyond business, Lisa is passionate about balancing her professional endeavors with family, community wellness, and personal creativity. Today, we're diving into Lisa's journey, how she helped brands achieve meaningful growth, and how she maintains purpose in her personal and professional life. Welcome to the show, Lisa. Thank you for saying yes for today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, and for our listeners, Lisa is something that's really special for me. Because like during pandemic, when I started my freelancing journey, Lisa was the very first client that I work with. Though he was under a different company before, handles the marketing team by that time, I was under her supervision. So thank you, Lisa, for being here today.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed working with you through the years. And yeah, we've gone through a few different agencies and it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you as well.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been, I think, more than 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. But today it's all about you, and we're really excited to know all about you. So I do have a few questions for you. And yeah, for the first question today, what common challenges do lifestyle brands face when trying to build meaningful consumer relationships, and how does the lifestyle studio address these issues?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think a lot of times brands, we sell a lot of consumer products. So people that are buying things potentially right off the platform or, driving to a link to purchase. And I feel like a lot of brands, um, have an idea in their head of what they want to do or who they want to be. But I feel like if you listen to what the consumer's telling you through social, like what's working, what's revising and understanding what messaging people are actually resonating with, you just get such better results. So some people say like try to sell too hard, and the more nowadays, the more authentic, the more real, the more I'd say less professional, the more like lo-fi content really works the best. So it's kind of the opposite of what's worked in the last so many years, where it's like really produced or really visually interesting. Now it's like it's okay if there's something in the background, and it's okay if someone messes up. It's those really authentic connections are really what drive people to connect with brands and also feel like they understand them or they're relatable and they want to support them or buy their product ultimately.
For sure. There's a lot of AI tools that are ongoing. I mean, new AI tools that creates content. But I love the word you said, authentic, how we show authenticity. And speaking of that, what's the biggest consequence for a lifestyle brand that fails to connect with its target audience authentically?
I mean, ultimately, they won't sell their product. They won't be successful online,
Yeah.
which is the worst case scenario. But in general, it's like, people are trying to build communities. Those communities are valuable for so many things, obviously purchasing. But outside of that, you can create real focus groups. You can learn a lot. You can create real brand partnerships, even influencer relationships, but really like ones that feel true to the brand, instead of just dollars.
For sure. That's the one word answer to that. Thank you for sharing. And going back to the pain points, or the problems that you're solving with the brands that you're working with, how do you identify the primary pain points when you start working with them?
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, it's a lot of testing, to be honest. When you first start, we test a lot of different things to understand what's resonating and what people are responding to. We look at what they've done, obviously, historically, what's worked, what hasn't, of what they've tried, or even what they've used other agencies for. But really, that first month or so, first couple months, is just testing. We're understanding different things. Sometimes trends work best. Sometimes, I don't know, captions, music, just kind of what's resonating with the audience. So I tell everyone, if you're not in it to test for the first few months, then you shouldn't do it, because it takes a bit to really understand what works and what works best, and then try to iterate and revise until you figure it out.
Sounds great. So it's not just, a thing that's just going to work. So there's testing phase. Thank you for
Yeah.
that, Lisa. And about some stories with the clients that you work with, can you share stories about the brand you've helped, transform from struggling into aspirational?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many that we've worked with, from little tiny startups to brands that have been on Shark Tank and gotten deals, to
Wow.
brands that have really taken off, or kind of came to us already having a lot of followers. So it depends too. It's like followers are important. Obviously, that community is important, but most brands, sales are the most important. That's what they're really looking for. So a lot of the platforms these days are about discoverability. Trying to think of the brand we've probably hit the most with. I mean, we've done a couple perfume brands where the strategy ended up, like, what was working best was using just real authentic people. So we would send all these different people, from micro influencers all the way up. We really focused a lot on micro influencers for this campaign. And we would send them all multiple perfumes, and they would make all these videos, and they would just send them to us. We would make all the edits. And so their entire channel was just regular people from all over the country kind of reviewing the product. So pros and cons, it's like, we don't want it to be, we purposefully sent them products, but we didn't pay all of them, like in micro influencers, because then it was like a real authentic review. They could, say pros, say cons, but being that real in the videos and being able to post those and either collab with them or tag them, it made the feed so much less like branded, and the response was huge. Like, all the comments were like, where can I buy that? Where did you get that? Can we try it? They're buying out of the TikTok shop, things like that. So I feel like the more you can use those real people, that perfume brand started maybe at 20,000 followers, maybe less than that. And I feel like within the first few months, they were probably up to 150,000 and more. So it's again, using those real people, picking them from all different cities all across the country. Um, so I feel like that perfume, the case study is actually on our website for that one, but that's just a
For
great
sure.
one. Their sales increased like 60% during that time. So a lot of times it's nice when you can actually track the bottom line to the success. You can do it through links and all kinds of different ways to track where the traffic's coming from. But that was definitely one of our early success stories, and that was a really fun one.
And you said it's available in your website. So for our listeners who's interested to know more about that, you can just check out. And don't worry, because those links are going to be available on our caption as well once this video is already released. So we're excited for that, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, since we're on that, for lifestyle brands seeking bold growth strategies, what does working with the lifestyle studio look like?
Sure. When we first start, again, we look at kind of what you've done in the past. We do our own research and deep dive into our own experience from our clients, and also what's happening in your space, anything that might be left maybe uncovered, or maybe you haven't tested yet. And then we start by creating like concept buckets. So we make a lot of different content. We're trying different things. And again, those first couple months, we're testing, we're looking for patterns, we're understanding what type of content is resonating on which platforms. And depending on the budget, oftentimes we have very specific content tailored to each platform. So TikTok's a very different audience than you would ever find on Facebook, and Instagram's an interesting middle ground. So Pinterest, a very different audience there. So depending on where they're going, Snapchat, those are all, we might have content tailored to every single channel. Other times we're trying to mix it up. If, they don't have the budget for all that unique content, we try to mix it up so that we're hitting different people on different platforms. But it's really looking for, like patterns in content. So if we're seeing, I'm going to make this up, but if we're seeing that POV videos, like a point of view video is always performing in the top 3 videos every single week or every single month, we're going to keep trying to reiterate and make different versions of that. So if we're finding that the UGC style is not working, we're going to shift to something else. So the good thing about social is you can shift really rapidly when something's not working. So we've tried things where we're instantly like, okay, even if we already filmed it, we're like, we're going to scrap the rest of those. It's not working, and shift. And I think clients love that because you're paying attention. They want you to try things. And when they're not working, you need to move on to something else. And so I feel like we're really good at moving fast and trying things, and that's how we figure it out. And once we figure it out, we can iterate and keep rolling and introduce new things all the time.
Awesome. Sounds great. So, what's the first step for a lifestyle brand interested working with a lifestyle studio to revamp its social strategy based on the clients that you've already worked with?
Yeah, what was the beginning of the question?
The first step for a lifestyle brand, those lifestyle brand that are interested to work with the lifestyle studio in revamping its social strategy, what are they going to do to connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people reach out on our website. Other people, anything from sending us, like I said, there's a form on our website, there's a phone number. Some people message us on Instagram. People reach out through our social channels all the time. Really, probably the most common way is through our website. There's a form, and that form actually goes directly to my email. So that's the easiest way. And it's always nice to hear from people. And sometimes they just have questions. So we'll talk to anyone to just help them understand. We don't charge anything for that. It's like, if people have questions or they're not sure what to do. And sometimes they just want us to help with something small. Sometimes they want us to do everything. So it's easy for us to say, here's what we think. And then they can do it themselves. They can ask us to help them, but we want to help. So if we can guide you down the right path and you don't choose to use us, that's okay. And if we can help you with part of it or all of it, we'd love to.
Awesome. So don't be afraid to, set up a consultation call. We always say it's for free. And just like what
Yeah,
Lisa is
exactly.
saying, there are sometimes that they're not charging for that. So don't be afraid to contact the lifestyle studio and just set up a call. Let them know where you're at, your pain points and everything. And let's see if you'll be fit to work together. Definitely they'll be able to provide value just doing the consultation call. So there you go. And
That's
for my
okay.
last question for today, it's more about on the delegation side with the business or the lifestyle studio. And right now, I am helping on the admin side of things, and I'm really seeing how you're working with the clients, and those are awesome captions, awesome graphics and everything, the reels and all. But is what do you say about delegation? Let's talk about the delegation portion of your business. How
Yeah,
does it
it's a
help?
lot yeah, coming from my standpoint, there's a lot to do to work on the business rather than in the business. So working on the business, it's like my job, is to get new clients, to make sure everything's going well. There's payroll, there's all those things. There's keeping up the office, just all that kind of stuff. So sometimes it's hard if I get like in the weeds of doing all the projects. So luckily I have you, but I also have a really great team here in the office too. So I try to really when I find myself taking on too many tasks, it's like stepping back and understanding who can do those tasks for me to lighten the load so that I can continue to bring in new clients and grow the business, which is what I love to do. So we have content creators and managers, and obviously Regine, you help us with all kinds of tasks as well. So when I start to feel overwhelmed or I realize there's just a lot happening, I have to literally step back. Sometimes I'm a list maker. Sometimes I make a list of all the things that I'm doing, and then I look at it kind of objectively, and it's like, who can do these things? Sometimes I do it because I think I'll do it faster, or maybe I'll just be easier for me, but that doesn't mean it's a good fit. And so I think it's looking objectively and really trying to give other people the chance, whether it takes a little longer or maybe a little slower. That's how they'll learn. So I think I've gotten better at it through the years. It's never easy in the beginning, but now, and then when it works and people actually are able to do those, or you feel comfortable, it's like you're so grateful. So it's definitely harder to do in the beginning, but as you fall into it, I think there's nothing better than a good, like great teammates who are happy to do it and happy to learn and excited to help.
For sure. Everybody starts from, from day one. And for those listeners that are really new to delegation, you mentioned that you're a list kind of a person who lists just things for your business.
Yes.
But is there any advice, I would say, for those entrepreneurs that are listening and they're just really new to delegation? What are the other steps you think that they can actually do to start this process?
Yeah, I think it's also something about being transparent with your team, whether you have one employee or five or 50, I don't know, but there's something about being able to understand everyone's workload and for them to understand yours. So even if you're the boss or you're in charge or whatever, there's something about we meet all the time. Every Monday we go through all of our like lists and talk through what the tasks are. And then we meet individually, me and each person, every single week. And so it's like, what does your week look like? Are you overwhelmed? Are you doing too much? Do you have extra time? And then, some weeks are really light, and then since I've talked to everyone one on one, I understand if someone's overwhelmed and someone's really light, there's a way that we can kind of shift those things to let people help other people. And it's not like you take on a task, you have to finish it. If someone has time and ability to help, like let them help. It's a good experience for everyone to be able to chip in and be a part of the team. And it's for me if I'm feeling overwhelmed. And again, we talk often in our office, and I think there's something to do with communication and just transparency of understanding what everyone has on their plate. Because then people are looking, other people are looking for ways to help, or they want to step up, or they want to show up that they have other skills. So I think communication's key. If you're not having regular meetings or one-on-ones, or like status meetings, you won't understand kind of where everyone is at and who's feeling which way. And oftentimes those individual meetings, like the one-on-ones, are where you'll really understand how each person feels. Because in a group setting, people, might be embarrassed to say they're overwhelmed, or they might not want to bring up how they're really feeling. So I think there's something to having all of those communications throughout the week, and then giving people the chance to step up and help their team. You'd be surprised how many people feel really good about that, or want to help, or are happy to even learn something new if it makes someone else's job a little easier that week.
Sounds great. So, two things that I heard from you: communication and being transparent. And not just for me, it's
Hmm.
not really just communication, because what I'm hearing from you is effective communication from
Yeah.
the whole team. So, it's really knowing if they're overwhelmed or not. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lisa. And we're now down to the last part of our podcast for today. So, I have some rapid fire questions for you. So, I do have 5 questions, and we're curious about these from your perspective. So, my first question is, what's the one tool or app that you can't live without for running your businesses?
Ooh, the one app. I don't know that I guess Drive, Google Drive. I use Drive every single day, 24/7 on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer. We store everything in Drive. We create all of our documents in Drive. So Google Drive for me I live in it.
Awesome. And there's already communication. I mean, you can already collaborate and communicate with your team using Google Drive. So that's one
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Second
Thank you,
might be
Lisa,
Slack. We use a lot of Slack, but
for sure. I think one of the entrepreneur also answered Slack for collaboration and communication. For my second question, if you could delegate any one task in your life forever, what would it be?
ooh, any one task forever. I think client, um, like client communication, account management. I have people that do that, but somehow it always falls back. Whenever someone isn't sure, we get someone new, it falls back to me often. And it's like, again, my favorite thing is to work on the business, not necessarily always in it every single day. I like to bring in new clients and do all the new business, but the day to day of like managing the account, I would forever be happy to hand that off.
Uh, I think we have the same answer. I just recently hired a client customer success manager for SaaS for the business that I'm working on, because it's something that eating too much of my time, because just like you, I'd like to do some discovery calls, talk to clients, bring in new business as as the CEO.
Hmm.
And we have the same answer for that, Lisa. And for the next question, what's your go-to productivity hack when you're feeling overwhelmed?
Mine is a list I go back to. Somehow when I feel overwhelmed, it's often in my head, and I might wake up with feeling it, or I might be feeling it throughout the day. And I feel like if I can like physically write things down, I actually keep like a actual this like
Oh,
to-do list. So if I can
yeah.
feel, sometimes it's like front and back, but if you can write it down, for me, it takes it like out of my head and puts it onto paper. So I start to feel better, and then when you can see it you can start to like assign it to other people or check off like what things would be quick to move first. I think when I get overwhelmed, it's because it's all jumbled. And when I can see it in a
Yeah.
nice orderly list, it's easier to prioritize and easier to delegate.
Awesome. Perfect. So Lisa is the one who does a lot of lists, and definitely something that entrepreneurs can also do. Mine, I do it on Notion, which is something that I'm already used to.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just digital way of putting notes, but the same thing. um,
Yeah.
there you go. For my last question for today, what's the most unexpected place or situation where you've had a great business idea?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. For me, I think the time I get them the most is I like to take walks. I love to go on walks. I feel like
Oh,
it's good for your mental health. It's good just for for physical exercise and activity. So I feel like I get so many good ideas because it's quiet in my life. I have children and work, and I'm never
oh
very
yeah.
much alone, quiet. And so I go on a walk. 3 miles probably, so it's maybe an hour. I don't know. And I feel like I get so many ideas. So I like pull my phone out and I try to write them down, but sometimes I do it just to like, get a good break, but I feel like when I go on walks, it's quiet and I'm active and my mind can kind of wander. And I also see things, especially if you're walking in like an urban, like if you're in New York City or something, like even just seeing everything around you inspires so many ideas.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for your time today, Lisa. We really do appreciate the conversation. Again, Lisa Harst, the CEO of the Lifestyle Studio. I just want to make sure I'm saying your last name correct. So Lisa Harst, right?
You
So the
got it.
CEO of
You
the
got it.
Lifestyle Studio. Awesome. Perfect. So it's clear that your fearless pursuit of purpose and bold strategies for brand building are reshaping how lifestyle brands connect with consumers. It's ready. If you're ready to make bold moves, take risks, and build lasting consumer relationships, you'll want to revisit today's episode for insights that can fuel your own brand's journey. Thank you again, Lisa, for sharing your wisdom with us. What an inspiring conversation. So for more on her work, check out the Lifestyle Studio online. We're also going to post it on all our social media. And for more episode of Delegation Dialogues, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep delegating, innovating, and making meaningful connections. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Delegation Dialogues. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights into optimizing your business operations. If you are looking for expert virtual staffing solutions to support your business, visit Strategic Assistant Staffing at strategic-assistant.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. See you next time.